Welcome, everybody, to another episode of OTR Vantage Point Sports. I am your host, Mark Kelley. Wherever you are, thank you for making this part of your day. And don't forget to check out our past episodes of Vantage Point, as well as Warhog Words of Wisdom with Rick. And, of course, our flagship, the wildly popular On the Range podcast with Warhog Tactical and Kelley Defense. Hope you are having a great start to your weekend. Now, we're about ready to give you our conference picks. We're going to go ahead and have some more fun with it. Tell us what you think about the picks in the comments below. But first, don't forget to go to kelleydefense.com and warhog.com. Check out all the past episodes, all the video, all the training. And then if you really like what we're doing at the OTR universe, make sure you go to our Patreon page. Go to our Patreon page. You get early access to exclusive content, early access to almost all of our content, training tips, interaction with Rick and I. It's just a great deal of fun and a lot of good no BS training as well. So last week, divisional week, my favorite week, we talked about it. Great games. All the games ended on the last play of the games within 7 points. 3 of them walk-off field goals. Unbelievable. I think this weekend has potential being the same kind of excitement, and we're going to give you our picks. 2 games, of course. There's only 4 teams left. The winner of these games go to the Super Bowl in 2 weeks at SoFi Stadium in LA. Now, that's going to be exciting if the LA Rams make it. You remember last year, the Buccaneers home field advantage for the Super Bowl, right? LA has a chance to do the same thing this year at SoFi Stadium. So if they beat the San Francisco 49ers, they're going to go to the Super Bowl at their home field. Home field advantage for the Super Bowl. But your boys have been looking at the games. Rick and I talked about it, and there's a couple interesting things with the points. Like I said, I don't know how they do it, but they do it. Those guys in Vegas, man, they know what they're doing, and there's reasons why they do it. So we'll talk about all that. But the first game is the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City, 3 o'clock Eastern time. The second game is San Francisco 49ers against the LA Rams, 6:30 Eastern time. So you don't have to stay up all night to watch them. It's going to be great. Now, the Bengals are getting 7.5 points. They are the underdog by 7.5 points. That's a lot of points, my friends. San Francisco is a 3-point underdog. They're getting 3 points. 3.5 points. I take that back. 3.5 points. So everybody thinks these are going to be close games. Now, the thing about the Bengals, 7.5 points, that is a lot of points. So let's talk about that game first. The Cincinnati Bengals are dogs, dude. They got a lot of swagger. They're playing out of their skins. Now, they have a lot of issues on the offensive line. Last week, during the win against the Titans, Joe Burrow was sacked 9 times. Now, I don't think the defensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs are as good as the defensive line for Tennessee. But we got to clean that up if you're the Bengals. That's what I'm telling my O-line. We got to clean this up. Now, we all know how explosive the Bengals can be as well. And they keep games close. That McPherson, the kicker, 5th rounder out of Florida, rookie, he is a weapon, big-time weapon. They keep the games close. And Joe Burrow always makes the play. Great players make those big plays. Okay? So it's going to be close, I'm thinking. 7.5 is a boatload of points, man. So I can see right now that could be considered a trap game because people are going to, again, like we picked the LA Rams against the Buccaneers last week because people don't want to pick against Tom Brady. I get it. People don't want to pick against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, but 7.5 points. So if they win by a touch, or if they lose the Bengals, they lose by a touchdown, you still win the wager. So it's a tough one. Now let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. They start off slow a lot of times. They start off slow. Cincinnati Bengals can drop a dime. If they go up 10 zip early, and then they're going point for point, tit for tat, and they're always scoring points even for field goals, and they keep it close, it could end the same way all the other playoff games have won. Now they have played the Raiders, the Bengals, and they have played Tennessee. But Tennessee's a formidable team. Derrick Henry couldn't run at all against that stout defense, who's injured. Now all their guys they're going to get him back. So the Kansas City Chiefs got to start out quick, but they don't traditionally. And they can drop a boatload of points in a hurry. You saw them win that game in the last 13 seconds last week against the Bills. But I'm telling you, I'm going to go with my gut on this one. Even though I'm a Bengals fan, I'm still thinking that's a lot of points. These Bengals play with some swagger. They got Chase, Higgins, Boyd, Uzama, I think's his name, the tight end. Unbelievable. That guy's a star. And Mixon. Now, Mixon's got to run better this week. The running back for the Bengals has got to run better this week. They get him rolling, and they start hitting those big passes because that defense has to come up. Bengals are going to have if you think that they don't have a puncher's chance or they only have a puncher's chance, I think you're selling them a little bit short. Now, talking about the offensive line for the Bengals, if the Kansas City Chiefs can get pressure with only rushing 4 people and not stunting a bunch of other guys, it's going to be a long day for the Bengals. But if they can hold them and they have to bring some other guys up to get some pressure on Joe Burrow, he is going to pick them apart. I think it's going to be close. I'm going to go with the Bengals and take the points. That's going to be our pick. Rick and I talked about it. And I think that's what I'm going to go. That's a lot of points to leave on the table. But I think it's a trap. I think a lot of people are going to go just like the Buccaneers last week. I think a lot of people are going to be afraid to bet against the Kansas City Chiefs, even though they're getting up 7.5 at home. And here's another thing, too. Arrowhead Stadium makes a lot of noise. Listen, Joe Burrow has played in the SEC in some huge games and torched the other teams. Now, I'm not going to believe that Kansas City's stadium is louder and more crazier than Tennessee's Volunteers or Alabama or LSU and playing in those big games. It just ain't going to happen. It just ain't going to happen. Joe Burrow is going to be fine. It's going to be fine. I think we're going to take the points, 7.5, and we're going to go with the Bengals. Okay, the second game. San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Rams. Now, San Francisco seems to have not only the LA Rams number, they also got the Bengals number. San Francisco beat them twice this year. They just didn't look good. The freak show, Nick Bosa, is disruptive as hell on the defensive side of the ball for San Francisco. He can rush from all over the place. Now, Matthew Stafford's had a couple of real good games, some explosive plays. They're giving up 3.5. I'm taking the LA Rams on this one. I do believe they're going to find a way to win. Matthew Stafford coming back and beating the Buccaneers the way they did with just a few plays, 2 plays over 20 yards, big monster plays to win that game. If the LA Rams can solve that Kittle problem, the great tight end for San Francisco, if they can solve that problem and keep everybody in front of them, I think LA at home is going to drop some major points. So I'm going to leave those points on the table. I'm going to go with the LA Rams to win. Matthew Stafford is a hell of a quarterback. Came out of Georgia, went to Detroit like we talked about last week. He's a heck of a quarterback. I just think he's going to find a way to win. Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham Jr. It's going to be a great matchup. And San Francisco seems to have their number, but it's hard to beat the same team 3 times in a row. And they're at home. I know they did it once before, but they're at home. I'm going to go with LA. I'm going to go with LA on that. So, again, we're going to leave the points for LA, 3.5, given up to San Francisco. I think they're going to beat them by at least a touchdown. And we're going to take the points with the Bengals. Even if they don't win, it's going to be a close barn burner, probably a 3-point, maybe 6-point game. So Bengals, LA, Rams, that's what we're going with. Tell us what you think, guys. Leave us a comment below and check out all of our past episodes and anywhere that podcast can be found. If you're listening on the audio side of the house, make sure you give us a 5-star rating. Make sure you interact with the page. If you're watching on video, make sure you bang that notification bell. Subscribe, like, follow. And at the very least, do us a favor. Share these video and audio shows to all your friends and all your social media. Again, go to warhog.com and kelleydefense.com. All of our shows are on there. You have links to all of our training calendars. And also check out the Patreon page at patreon.com/On the Range Podcast. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the games and talk to you soon, guys.